Chairman Sargent moves passage, properly seconded. Mr. Clerk, call for First Amendment.
House Finance Committee Amendment 1 spread on the member's desk. In Amendment Pack 22.
Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move to adopt.
Representative Alexander moves adoption of Amendment number 1, properly seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of adoption of Amendment number 1 say aye. Those opposed say no. You adopt. Next amendment.
Amendment 2 by Fitzhugh spread on the member's desk in Amendment Pack 22.
Representative Fitzhugh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm glad it's been a few minutes since I've talked, so you're not going to be, well, you probably are tired of me. I'm sort of tired of getting up here losing all the time. But let me tell you, I've got a plan for you. Now, let me explain it to you. Unlike the other one, it's not simple, but it really does work. In the bill that we just passed, 2501, I think, the appropriations bill, we took an action on the nursing home tax. Now, the nursing home tax is something that we do the same as the hospital tax, or the hospital, what's the code word for it? Anyway, assessment. But we just raised $50 million from the federal government by passing that budget. We now put, just like the hospital assessment, we're putting an additional $24 million that comes from the nursing home industry, doubles that, or it's a 2-to-1 match, and we're getting back $75 million, okay? Now, that's what we did in that one. In the hospital assessment, we appreciate the hospitals for coming forward and being taxed or assessed about let's just say $450 million, of which we take their money, we send it to the federal government. It gets by Senator Corker. He doesn't like this, but it comes back to us at about, I don't know, $1.2 billion, okay? Everybody understands that. Now, we depend on the federal government for that. That is money that we can do whatever we want to with. So this proposal, ladies and gentlemen, says this. We will take $240 million from that hospital assessment and use it for our budget, to fund the pay raises, the higher ed, and of our budget on a recurring basis. It's recurring obligations that come. We will lose some match on that, but we have received an additional $80 million from a federal waiver just this week that will help plug that hole. But in addition, this amendment requires the Department of TennCare to maximize federal matching so that, believe it or not, there is not that great of loss to the hospitals. Then, and this is the part that you knew I was coming to one time today. The bill also authorizes the Tennessee plan that the governor has proposed to expand Medicaid. The governor has the ability to expand Medicaid, and it puts in this amendment exactly what the governor wants. He wants the co-pays, it's in there. He wants the wellness, it's in there. He wants everything he wants is in that. And we give him authority to go to the feds by the end of this fiscal year and say, this is what's happening. I have got this authority from the legislature. This is what I want. This is what Tennessee will do. This is the way we want it. And we want you to give us the expanded Medicaid. The beauty of this is that 2/3 of this money basically will come back to hospitals to fill whatever hole there is. So we use the ability for the hospital assessment to leverage our federal dollars to the maximum, which allows us to go to the federal government and say, here it is, and it meets all the requirements that our governor wants for the Medicaid expansion. And believe it or not, it works. I'm not putting any words in TennCare's mouths, but I believe if you ask them, they will say that it is a plausible, although a bit complicated, it is a thing that will work to give us a substantial boost in our hospitals payment, keep those hospitals from closing, because let me tell you, Between now and the time we come back in January, somebody in this room is going to lose a hospital. I hope it's not me, but it's somebody in this room is going to lose one. So this is an opportunity to do this, and I move, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Speaker, adoption of Amendment 2.
Leader Fitzhugh moves adoption of amendment number 2, properly seconded. Discussion on the amendment. Chairman McCormick, you're recognized. Leader McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll be very brief. If you're in favor of expanding Obamacare and you want to borrow money from China and have our grandchildren pay it back, vote for this. I would move it to the table. I would ask you to vote for the tabling motion.
Proper motion, properly seconded. The parliamentary situation is Representative Fitzhugh has moved adoption of amendment number 2. Representative McCormick has moved that motion to the table. That cuts off all debate except for that of the sponsor. Representative Fitzhugh, you are recognized.
To the contrary, Madam Speaker, my friend, if you are in favor of balancing a budget not on the backs of teachers, state employees, and higher education, if you are in favor of having a return of the money that you and your constituents send to Washington, D.C., if you are in favor of receiving it back, and if you are in favor for 2 years having 100% funded Medicaid for those working people who cannot afford health insurance now, if you are in favor of that, you vote against that motion to lay this on the table. There are no smoke and mirrors here. This is real dollars that we as a Tennessee legislature, and I'm talking about in the billions now, with a B, that we are leaving on the table. It is absolutely makes no sense morally nor mathematically not to do this. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last chance that we have before January. And at least $2.5 million a day are not coming to our state to help those people who are a family of 4, has a $32,000 a year income. You think about your constituents and see how many of your neighbors, your constituents, fall in that category. I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, to give this situation a chance, give the governor a chance to do. This is exactly what he wants to do. Let him do it. Let him do it. Get behind him and let's get this thing done. And let's get some health insurance, a balanced budget, and let's give some raises to these people that deserve it so much. I urge you to vote no on the tabling motion. Thank you.
Parliamentary situation is that Representative Fitzhugh has moved adoption of amendment number 2. Representative McCormick has moved that motion to the table. We are voting on the tabling motion. All those in favor vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Aye 70, 26 nay.